Hello everyone, my name is Kelly Drew and this is my presentation for my Kinesiology 443 class, and my presentation is on youth sports psychology. So first off, what are my objectives in this presentation? The first is, what is youth sports psychology? What is youth sport? What is the positive impact on youth when participating in sport? What is the negative impact on youth when participating in sport? And what effect do the parents and coaches have when their children are participating in youth sport? So, first off, what is psychology? According to Merriam-Webster, psychology is defined as the science of mind and behaviour. So then, what is sports psychology? According to the American Psychological Association, sports psychology is a proficiency that uses psychological knowledge and skills to address optimal performance and well-being of athletes, developmental and social aspects of sports participation, and systemic issues associated with sports settings and organisations. So then, how can we apply these definitions to youth sports psychology? We can basically apply the sports psychology definition and just apply it to the age group that youth falls under, so basically like 4 to 5 year olds to the teenage years. The psychologist Marilyn Price Mitchell states that practitioners doing sports psychology with youth sports athletes should be cognizant of the physical, cognitive, emotional, and social development of youth, and how this development can potentially impact one another. And also, in an academic article, it states for sports psychology to be successful in youth sports, it must not only focus on the training of the athletes, but also the coaches, parents, and any other people involved. So basically, everyone that is around the child at the time affects their outcome in the sport and also their well-being and how they perform. So what is youth sport? We all understand that youth plays a big part in our society now, as everyone loves to watch it, play it, it's just a favourite pastime. So when youth get involved in sport, it plays a fundamental role in a child's development, as we are often introduced to all different types of sport at a young age for whatever reasoning or motive that might be behind it, whether your parents pushed you into it or whether you saw it on TV and you wanted to have a go for it yourself. And it could be an individual or a team sport. There will undoubtedly be positive and negative events that will happen when participating in youth sport. The World Health Organization has suggested that life skills are important for healthy development and preparing adolescents for the future. And sports psychologists have argued that life skills can be taught in combination with athletic skills in sports contexts. So basically, a lot of people have been saying that playing sports can help you be taught life skills, even though you're not in like a life setting, and sport can help develop character and help you overcome adversity and risk-taking and also problem-solving. So what positive impacts do sport have on the psychology of youth? There are psychological benefits of exercise which may be partially due to increased levels of endorphins and regulations of norepinephrine levels, and this is basically what makes you feel good after exercising or a workout. And within sport, youngsters can learn adaptive ways of competing and cooperating with other people. They can learn risk-taking, personal commitment, and self-control, and they can learn to deal with success and failure. Important issues about achievement, authority, and persistence in the face of adversity are formed. And advocates have also pointed out that lifelong patterns of physical activity that promote health and fitness can be initiated through involvement in youth sports, which is one of the big factors today, as childhood obesity is a really big problem here in the United States, and getting kids to develop a pattern of physical activity outside of school just for 30 minutes a day can help beat that. Now for the negative impact on a youth's psychology when participating in sport. Children that often show promise from an early age are often at risk for quitting and giving up their chosen sport, as they have added pressure and expectations due to their coaches or their parents, because they often see their talent and start pressuring them too soon, and the kid just ends up not wanting to do it anymore, and this can also be a result of burnout. And burnout is a condition of psychological, emotional, and sometimes physical withdrawal from sport participation as a result of chronic stress. Although youth sports have not been found to be as anxiety-provoking as once feared, a significant number of young athletes suffer from burnout each year. And this can be because of their coach or just themselves being overworked too hard and they're just finding it too exhausting to carry on, so they often just let their sport go for a bit. This can also be caused from intense training and pressure-packed competitions, coupled with close adult supervision, and this can induce considerable stress as a result of their participation in sport. And research has also indicated that constant pressure from athletic participation may lead to physical and emotional exhaustion, lower self-efficacy, and an uncaring attitude towards sports events. So from the constant pressure they could be putting this on themselves, or their parents and coaches can be putting this on them because they know that they need to perform, but they probably are suffering from low self-esteem, or and they don't think that they can do this anymore, so they just stop caring and they mentally just zone out and they just don't want to do it anymore. So what effects do parents and coaches have on youth when they participate in sport? One of the most prevalent problems is the intrusive parent, as they can be overbearing whenever it comes to coaching their child, or when they're at competitions, like they could get in the coach's face or even the referee or the umpire's face, and this just is not a good look, and you're not being a good role model to your child at the time. And I've often seen it too much in my chosen sport, as I play tennis, and I've often seen this too many times where the parent is very overbearing on the child and the child just zones out, and it's just not a good look, and the child often ends up quitting because the parent is just way too overbearing and expects too much from the child, especially at such a young age. Like they're not a pro, and sometimes the parent doesn't get that through their head at the time. So parental interest in a child's sport participation can be variable and expressed differently depending on their degree of interest and involvement, and may behaviourally even be expressed negatively. So when they say expressed negatively, this could be yelling or swearing or just negative body language, and again, this isn't being a really good role model for the child, as you want to encourage their involvement in sport and even just their participation if they're not that physically able as some of the other kids in their team or chosen sport, and you just want them to enjoy it, because at the end of the day, winning isn't everything. Coaches who use training methods similar to those of the pros with children and adolescents may be creating a potentially stressful sport environment, as training with putting a child in a position where you're training them like a professional is just unrealistic, as they're physically and mentally not there. And honestly, most children just want to have fun and develop better skills and also just learn something and get something out of it from their time in sport. And this can just add more stress and is just not good for the child at all. Most athletes have their first sport experiences in programs staffed by volunteer coaches, and although many of these coaches are fairly well versed in the technical aspects of the sport, they really have had any formal training in creating a healthy psychological environment for the youngsters. So this article states that even though the coaches at the time, they're volunteer coaches, we have to keep that in mind, they have a really good understanding of the game, but they're not sure about how to control their team or the children that they're working with. So this could have a really negative effect on the children. However, there was a study that found that the most positive outcomes occurred when children played for coaches who engaged in high levels of positive reinforcement for both desirable performance and effort, who responded to mistakes with encouragement and technical instruction, and who emphasized the importance of fun and personal improvement over winning. And this is really what you want out of your child being in sports, a coach that puts emphasis on having fun and improving rather than winning, because winning isn't everything and you want someone to have fun. So, in conclusion, youth sports psychology is a proficiency that uses psychological knowledge and skills to address optimal performance and well-being of youth athletes within a sports setting and organisation. There are both positive and negative effects on youth when participating in sport, and this can be controlled by the coaches and parents as they play vital roles in the well-being and development of youth when they are playing their chosen sport. And these are my references slides. Thank you for watching.